everything. Let's see, paranormal investigations, author, photography, website design, historical research, collector of the bizarre, a lot of stuff with horror movies, podcasts. I have two so far. We're working on a third. Um, it's just all over the place.
So going back to the paranormal, like how did you get your start in paranormal
I'm
investigation?
going to give you the generic answer, but it's a fun one.
All right.
So back when I was growing up, just a little one, my father owned his own business. So my mother spent a lot of time by herself, and she was a horror movie freak, which good on her. But she wanted somebody to watch the films with. So here's little Brian, who's not prepared to watch The Exorcist when he's 5, but I am because she wants me to do it. And I'm like freaked out by everything, and she's like, "Don't worry, it's okay. It's not real. It's it's made up. And here's how they write movies, and here's how they produce them, and here's how special effects are done, and all that." And yet that had a good impact on me because now I'm a horror movie freak. But at the same time, later on in life, I'm watching all of these movies. They're like, these really scary things. They're like based on a true story, inspired by actual events. And I'm like, now hold on a minute. Mom told me these things weren't real. So I was like, okay, I'm going to dig into it a little bit. So back about 99, I decided that I was going to like join a group. Somebody's got to be doing this. Somebody's got to be looking into it. And it turns out there were two other groups at the time, and they were both, I'm going to say, not doing it the way that I thought it should be done. So we started, what we've been doing for 25 years now.
25 years.
Yep.
So I guess the people want to know, and myself included, are ghosts real?
Definitely, maybe.
Definitely, maybe. Can you elaborate?
Well, there's two answers to that. When we go in on an investigation, we can't let our belief one way or the other like influence what we're doing.
Mm.
So we always say, we're not given the opportunity to believe or disbelieve. We're just there to document whatever's happening. Because if I go in saying this place is haunted, everything that I do leans towards it being a ghost. And if I go, yeah, there's no such thing as ghosts, well, the opposite. So we have to kind of stay on that line and say, we're open to anything. Now, I will tell you, it changes a lot because if you go to a bunch of places and some, unusual things happen, you're like, wow, this is really cool and there's got to be something out there. But then you go to like a dozen places and nothing happens. It's like, why am I doing this?
Mm.
So it really flip flops as far as what personal beliefs are. Now, do I hope? Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, how great would it be to be able to say, yeah, ghosts or cryptids or whatever paranormal thing are real, and hopefully we would be the ones that were taken serious because we're doing it kind of a lot different than a lot of other people.
True. So are you basically people can almost manifest a belief in ghosts if they go in already believing something?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, think about yourself this way, and we're human, we're animals. We mess with ourselves.
Mm.
So if you go into some spooky location that it's dark, it's creepy, it's got this reportedly haunted thing going on, and with our case, you throw in the fact that people that are there believe it's haunted, so they're telling you ghost stories about the place the whole time. It's like you can't help but have that natural. This place is haunted, and it's hard sometimes to kick back and go, okay, I'm going to be neutral about this. But other times you go into this like absolutely dry, clinically clean. It's like there can't be a ghost here. Well, yeah, it's just as likely there's a ghost here as there was at that creepy place. So we need to stay neutral and just investigate and come up with whatever it is.
Now, have you ever been in a situation where you actually have evidence that there is a entity or a spiritual being in a certain location?
Oh, I need a blunt answer for this. You ready?
Let's hear it.
No.
Okay.
However, there's a way to look at this, and it's really the way to look at it if you're investigating anything. I mean, it's kind of science as well. We have Are you familiar with something called Occam's razor?
I am not.
Okay. Back in science school, there was this thing called Occam's razor, which is a scientific axiom that says, in a long, drawn out way, given all possible explanations, the simplest one is usually the correct one. So, let's say you're sitting outside, or you're sitting in your bedroom one night, and you hear this like weird scratching at your bedroom window. And you go, Bigfoot. It might be, but we need to start somewhere else with this. So it's like, okay, we're going to start at the end. And this is where our part comes in. We have a thing that kind of overrides Occam's razor a little bit called the chart of how to not be stupid. It's a lot easier. So what you do is you start at one end at the non-paranormal explanation, the natural explanation. And you try and work your way towards the paranormal explanation, but you can't just jump to a conclusion. So if in that situation you say, okay, well, I heard something at the window. Do I have a sibling that's messing with me? Do my parents want to make me think there's something outside? Do I have a dog? Is there wildlife? Is there a tree that scratches on? So you got to slowly work your way towards, all the or through all the natural explanations before you can jump to anything paranormal. And just because you've come up with the answers, or I've come up with the answers, doesn't mean that's all the answers. So that's when you start calling in people going, here's what the claim is. What do you think it might be? And that goalpost of a paranormal explanation keep moving farther and farther away because people keep coming up with more and more possible natural explanations. But at some point, you do run into a case where all of the answers have been answered, but you still don't know. It's like I've come up with every possible thing I can think of. I've brought in the experts and they've talked to me and we've kind of discussed what's going on, and nothing that they've come up with has been the answer. Does that make it a ghost or a Bigfoot? No. That makes it a I don't know. So we're willing to stop at that point because we want to be taken seriously. If we have some sort of over the top evidence, we want to make sure that whatever it is testable, and I can give it to anybody in the community and say, here you go. Which is why the scientific community will still actually listen to us. Where most people, if they come in and go, hi, ghost hunter, they're like, next. And thankfully, they don't do that because we've tried to keep that credibility.
Nice. So what do you think the importance is behind what you do? Like, are you, there to bring people closure? Are you there to help people learn and understand something that they may not?
There's multiple answers to that. First and foremost, people that call us from a private residence are freaked out about something that's going on. And it's really important to, at that point, the paranormal investigation is kind of secondary. We want to work with them and help them feel comfortable in their own home, their own business, whatever it is, and be able to see if we can come up with any natural explanations. Because if we can kind of give them their lives back. We can say, okay, no need to panic. Everything's cool. We just misinterpreted this. This is what it actually is. And they feel a lot better at it. They can take control of their lives again, because if you think that there's something paranormal going on in your house, in your business, you lose control of everything. It's a complete freak out, and it's just the human way things happen. We also do it for the historical aspects. We are by accident historians, and I am so glad about that because we've been able to document the history of a lot of these really cool locations and go to places people don't normally get to go to. How many people have spent multiple weekends at the back end of the Cave of the Winds, or the county seat courthouse? Here's the keys. We'll see you in a week. This sort of thing, that you don't get exposed to these kind of places. One of my favorite ones up in Boulder at the university was the Mackey Auditorium. The only other investigation that had happened there, because it's reportedly haunted, was a 45-minute long investigation that had a police escort because the cops had to be there with them because, it's a school building.
Hmm.
They were like, here's the keys. We'll see you later. So we got to spend days in there. And A, it gives us the opportunity to actually document these places. And B, how cool is it you get to go to these places? And because I'm a horror movie buff, obviously, it's one thing to have people sit around and tell you ghost stories. It's another thing to sit in somebody's house where they've had an experience and have them tell you a ghost story that happened to them there. I mean, that is a whole different level of just creepy. So, a little fun factor there too.
So, with that being said, some of the most famous stories here in Colorado would be uh, Cheeseman Park being one, also Riverdale being claims to the most haunted road in America. Uh, so, for the people out there who believe these stories, what can you put to bed for them about some of these places?
Uh, I mean, like I said, you can't disprove a lot of it because there's a lot of firsthand stories and things like that. But at the same time, look at each claim on its own merits. Look at them individually and try and figure out what the most likely explanation is. Riverdale is one of my favorites because it is a death trap. There's no question about that. It is a winding kind of rural, not so much anymore, road that because it has the reputation of being this haunted location, what do teenagers do? They go out, they get drunk, and they drive this winding rural road at high speeds. People get killed. Why? That's why. If you look at the stories that are based around it, Riverdale is a collection of every urban legend from around the country. It's like if you go to, some town that has, oh, well, we've got this thing that happens and there's a woman in white hitchhiking. We got that. Oh, well, if you go here, there's this happen. We have that happening. Riverdale collects all of the urban legends, which, I mean, it's cool and it's kind of a nice place. You can just put them all in one spot and it's good. But I haven't seen anything there that would really push me towards believing it's anything other than just an amazing collection of urban legends.
Nice. Okay, because there's been stories of that. I've heard that the gates of hell are somewhere.
It's a chicken coop now.
No.
Just saying.
Well, there you go. So, what do you feel about the other paranormal investigators out there that may stand on what they believe as far as it being a real thing? Like Zach Bargains has the haunted museum out in Vegas, and then you have
which I'm going to talk about the haunted museum here for a second. I want to go. Don't get me wrong. I will pay my $100 to get in the door because it's a little insane, but just to have the experience. But for example, one of the like prime items in there is the Dybbuk box.
Mm.
In doing a lot of research on the Dybbuk box and trying to find the history and things, that's not even it. It's a reproduction that a guy had made.
Wow.
But he's claiming people get possessed off of it. And no. Having been on a lot of paranormal television shows, you cannot do a paranormal television show and do legitimate research because legitimate research, unfortunately, to the spectator is horribly boring. And if something doesn't happen every time, if something doesn't fall over, weird knocking, somebody gets scratched, whatever it is, the sponsors don't want anything to do with you. So what do? That has to happen every time. Now, sometimes the cast isn't necessarily involved in it. It's the production company. But a lot of the time, it's everybody. Because you learn really quick that they're messing with you.
All right. So, a reproduced Dybbuk box.
Mm-hmm.
We were sold. My wife and I went out there, and I've actually been twice to that museum, and I've always felt something. However, I think a lot of that has to do with me already going and believing.
And that's back to what we were talking about. If you believe in it already, even if that's not it, you believe that's it. It's that if I go in thinking a house is haunted,
It's
it's
haunted.
haunted. And I mean, don't, like I say, don't get me wrong. I want to go pay my $100 and see the Dybbuk box, but I know because of the research that I've done, that's not the Dybbuk box.
All right, for sure. So, what do you say to the people who want to get into this line of work, or who just wants to do their own paranormal investigations?
Don't just, just don't. Uh, well, there's two levels of this experience. There's what I refer to as ghost hunting, which is, you and a bunch of your friends grabbing the Ouija board and a bottle of whiskey and headed to the cemetery, and you're going to scare each other all night. That's fun. That's not research, but that's fun. And that's what a lot of these people do. They'll take, their weird little device with them that talks to ghosts or whatever. And it is a lot of fun. But the problem is when you start getting people who are genuinely terrified of something that's going on at their location, you don't need to confirm something for them if it isn't real, because you're just going to freak them out more. And being able to do that is very difficult. So if you want to do that, great. But if you want to get into real, we've coined it a few different ways, like forensic paranormal investigation. You need to be able to have the expertise, be able to bring in the experts, know what you're doing, not jump to conclusions. Critical thinking is a vital thing, and realize that it's not all bleeding walls and spinning heads. It's just different stuff that sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's really, really tedious. But in the long run, you get to do a lot of cool things.
Nice. And so, for someone who wants to, talk to you directly, maybe they have their own, stories that they want to share or have you guys check out, how can people get in touch with you, and what is something that you offer, just regular everyday people that can come to you?
For the paranormal stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I have to be able to separate all the weird little projects. For the paranormal stuff, you can go to RockyMountainParanormal.com. We have a site that's been building for decades now and about to get a major facelift. You can contact us at help@RockyMountainParanormal.com. You can hit us up on Facebook. Me personally, my page is open. Rocky Mountain Paranormal has a page too.
Nice. And any literature that people can pick up?
So you say. Case Files, the Rocky Mountain Paranormal Research, Volume 1. Volume 2 is in the works. And for people that are actually interested in getting into it, we're working on a kind of training how-to manual. And it's probably, I'm going to say, a year and a half out or so. But Volume 2 will be out this September, hopefully.
Nice. All right, man. I'm definitely looking forward to, reading and, doing more with you guys. So anything you want to say in closing to those paranormal fans out there?
I was going to say I can push the other stuff. 2 other items of interest. I have 2 podcasts. I've got Do You Like Scary Movies? Because doyoulikescarymovies.com apparently was available and I got it. I don't know how. We discuss all things bizarre. Horror movies. We talk to actors and directors and musicians and writers and producers and authors, you name it. So lots of fun there. If you like horror, go there. And I also am the co-host of a conspiracy podcast called the They Did It podcast. So if you go to theydiditpodcast.com, we pick a conspiracy of the week and kind of dive into it. So we've touched everything from 5G to Denver International Airport to chemtrails to all the stuff. And basically what we do is explain it to you and then kind of deconstruct it. So much stuff going on.
Nice. And I'll make sure I'll have that actually in the description box below. So Brian, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah,
I really
fine.
do appreciate it, man. And I gotta say, I will be doing more videos so all the fans out there can see how awesome your collection is. So, guys, stick around for that, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll catch you in the next one.